Both of these absolute legends figured out the exact same brutal truth pretty early on in their lives. A professional football career is short. I mean, even for the greatest of all time, the boots eventually have to come off. And that money? It has to keep working long after the final whistle. So both men set out and built billion-dollar investment empires. But, as we're going to see in this explainer today, they built their financial powerhouses using completely opposite playbooks. Welcome to Footballnomics. When you look at their strategies side by side, the contrast is honestly incredible. On the left, you've got Lionel Messi, whose portfolio is completely defined by quiet diversification. He's built this intricate web of investments, largely in real estate and tech startups, and it's managed very quietly, totally out of the spotlight, mostly by his father Jorge. But then, on the right, Cristiano Ronaldo has gone the exact opposite route. He has constructed this loud, highly visible, brand-concentrated ecosystem where literally everything feeds off his massive global profile. Now stick around, because around minute 7 of this explainer, we are going to do something you rarely see with these two. We're going to rigorously score both of their portfolios on 5 standard investor metrics to see who actually wins from a pure wealth management perspective. It's a really cool analytical framework that completely strips away the football rivalry to look purely at the numbers, and you definitely won't want to miss it. Okay, let's dive right into section 1, Messi's portfolio, the quiet diversifier. You know, the overarching theme of Messi's strategy is almost paradoxical when you think about his immense global fame, because it's really all about making his wealth completely invisible. Forbes and other sources estimate Messi's net worth to be sitting around $1.1 billion. And what's absolutely fascinating here is that a massive, totally unflashy chunk of that wealth isn't tied up in, shiny sports cars or super flashy ventures. It's anchored solidly in physical property. For example, let's look at his Spanish real estate holdings. Rather than just buying up random mansions, his properties were actually bundled into a company called Edificio Rostower and listed on a small exchange as a real estate investment trust, or REIT. It's valued at an estimated $232 million and includes 7 hotels alongside a mix of shops, offices, and residential homes. So this isn't just a rich athlete making trophy purchases to show off to friends. This is a highly structured, passive, rent-generating machine designed to just quietly print money in the background. And his footprint in Miami follows a very similar strategic pattern. Yes, he's got a stunning $10.75 million Fort Lauderdale waterfront estate, but he also bought a unit in the famous Porsche Design Tower and reportedly secured 4 units in the brand-new Cipriani Residences Tower. He's utilizing a classic pre-completion strategy here. He's buying into these ultra-luxury developments before they're even finished so he can capture the maximum appreciation by the time the doors actually open. Which brings us to the crown jewel. And actually, scratch that, it's a massive misconception that almost everyone in the media gets wrong. Messi does not currently own Inter Miami. As part of his reported $70 to $80 million a year deal, which, by the way, includes revenue sharing with Apple and Adidas, he was granted an option to acquire an ownership stake after he retires. So he is being paid to build future equity rather than taking on the immediate liability and huge capital calls of current ownership. Rounding out Messi's portfolio are these quiet, diverse bets. He co-launched a sports media tech investment firm called Playtime, he holds stakes in various wine and restaurant brands, and he even quietly bought a small Spanish football club called UE Cornella. With his father Jorge managing a lot of this behind the scenes, Messi's portfolio essentially whispers. It's spread wide, it's insulated, and it's deeply, deeply private. All right, shifting gears to section 2, Ronaldo's portfolio, the brand empire. So if Messi's financial ecosystem whispers, Ronaldo's absolutely shouts. His core business strategy is fundamentally different from Messi's. Ronaldo's strategy is that he himself is the asset. In 2025, Ronaldo became football's first official billionaire, with high-end estimates putting his net worth somewhere around $1.4 billion. And unlike Messi's hidden holding companies, almost every single major business in Ronaldo's portfolio proudly carries his own initials. The clearest example of this is his massive global hotel footprint. He entered a 50-50 partnership with Portugal's Pestana Group to launch the Pestana CR7 hotels. He reportedly put in around 40 million euros initially, and that stake has roughly doubled in value since. They already have 6 open locations in major cities like New York, Madrid, and Lisbon, boasting well over 800 rooms, with some major expansions planned for Paris, Manchester, and Riyadh. Then just look at his lifestyle ecosystem. He's got CR7 Crunch fitness gyms, fragrance and fashion lines dating all the way back to 2013, and the Inspira hair transplant clinics, which actually boast a valuation around $100 million. Every single one of these businesses feeds off the exact same image and brand that hundreds of millions of his fans follow online. It is one monolithic brand feeding half a dozen completely different industries. And then there is the ultimate game changer, Saudi Arabia. His contract with Al Nasser pays him a reported $245 million a year, but the real structural genius here is his reported 15% equity stake in the club itself. Because Al Nasser is backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, literally one of the largest sovereign wealth funds on planet Earth, Ronaldo successfully transitioned from a highly paid employee to a reported owner, tying his financial future directly into a massive national sports project.
So we're looking at two absolute mega empires here. But hold on a second. There is a fundamental detail that nearly everyone misses when they talk about these two. The sheer amount of money they make totally distracts from the fact that the actual risk they are carrying in these portfolios is completely different.
Which brings us to Section 3, Risk Analysis, Passive versus Brand Dependent. You see, the traditional who is richer debate completely ignores how an actual wealth manager evaluates portfolios, which is through rigorous risk analysis. While both of these empires are massive, they operate on totally opposite spectrums of passive versus active vulnerability. On the left, Messi's portfolio is highly resilient. It's a spread-out safety net. Think about it. A commercial building in Barcelona pays rent every single month, completely regardless of whether Messi is trending on social media. But on the right, Ronaldo's portfolio has an incredibly high ceiling, but it is highly correlated and heavily brand dependent. The hotels, the gyms, the fragrances, they all rely on the CR7 brand staying golden. If his personal brand would ever cool off, several of his major assets could theoretically cool down at the exact same time. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. Section 4, the scorecard reveal using 5 standard investment metrics. We are going to totally strip away the football rivalry right now, put on our analyst hats, and score both portfolios from 1 to 10 using standard investment metrics based on public estimates. Let's walk through this together. First up, diversification. Messi takes this one with a 9. His investments span real estate, tech, and equity across multiple countries without relying on his face. Ronaldo gets a 6, because while he's technically in multiple industries, it's all incredibly concentrated around his name. But for cash flow today, Ronaldo wins that with a 9. His active hotels and that massive Saudi deal generate immense, immediate liquidity, whereas Messi's future equity options are locked up for now, giving him a 7. Looking at risk profile, Messi's lower volatility and passive income give him a solid 8, beating Ronaldo's 6. When it comes to upside and ROI ceiling, Ronaldo's aggressive equity grabs and global brand scaling give him a 9 over Messi's 7. And finally, for post-retirement resilience, meaning what actually survives when the fame fades, Messi's rent-collecting autopilot structure earns a 9, edging out Ronaldo's 7. Tally the whole thing up, and Messi edges out the win 40-37 for pure durability. But notice how incredibly close it is. Ronaldo absolutely wins this if you're an investor who values raw, aggressive upside and massive current income over safe passive wealth.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, Wealth Manager Takeaways, and the lessons here for high-earning athletes.
What do actual wealth managers recommend when dealing with celebrity capital of this magnitude? First, beware of concentration risk. If your income and your investments both rely entirely on your personal brand, you are dangerously exposed. Messi clearly avoided this. Ronaldo leaned completely into it. Second, you really have to balance liquidity versus timing. Do you want cash today, like Ronaldo, or are you building compound wealth for tomorrow, like Messi? But the third rule is honestly the most vital, and it's what both of these legends got completely right. Start investing long before your playing career ends. They built these unbelievable empires while their massive athletic paychecks were still rolling in. Which brings us to the ultimate question for you. Now that you've seen the underlying mechanics, the hidden risks, and the massive upsides, as an investor, if you were handed the keys today, which portfolio would you rather own? Do you want the sleep-at-night, silent diversification of Team Messi, or the massive, cash-flowing brand empire of Team Ronaldo? Think about which risk profile best aligns with your mindset. Let me know your reasoning down in the comments, and as always, keep thinking